Chapter 9 Back and Forth. Jack and Elle hid in a farm and waited for the optimum time to sneak in.
Jack, you'll wait here when I go in.
Why? Shouldn't I go with you?
You will be spotted and I won't. I'm a Darkling form right now.
What's stopping Darklings from sneaking in all the time? Jack asked.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But since you asked, one, they aren't intelligent enough to organize or learn as well as we do.
Elle held up an additional talon.
Two, the sporadic torches kept at the top discourages them. Light will always scare them off.
Any other reasons?
Nope, that's enough.
Elle started to leave. Be careful, Jack said just before the other left. Elle turned prior to leaving out the door. He faded into the dark while looking right at Jack. Yeah, he was right. I would probably have gotten caught. Elle wove his way through the farm crops, keeping too low for any sentry to see him. There was a patrol on the outside of the city, and it was not hard to wait for them to pass prior to maneuvering close enough. They looked bored and were distracted by their own conversations about games they will play the following day to notice the hidden darkling get past them. When he reached the end of the farms, he easily spotted what he was searching for, a crack in the wall. It was just past the empty moat and a few paces next to the closed gate. At the top of the wall, there were guards actually doing the watch properly. They both stared out of the city and towards the mountains and farms Elle occupied. Elle looked at them, waiting for them to look any other direction or perhaps go through shift change. He knew no such luck would befall him, so he did the next best thing. He broke a vegetable stalk with each arm at his sides. He tried to use his lower arms, which did not exist in this form, and silently cursed himself for forgetting that, but was grateful that it did not matter, since no guard spotted him anyway.
Fragile. Oh well.
He slithered his way to the edge of the darkness, which was as far as he could hide without too much risk. Then, with as much strength as he could muster, he performed a low throw with the first stalk. It zoomed across the ground and slammed into the barn. It was loud enough to make the guards look. They glared at the impact and could see no visible difference. They squinted their eyes and fell for the distraction. Elle didn't waste any time. The moment they looked away, his wings spread from left to right, but did not rise. He flew a mere 2 feet from the ground and glided with haste to his crack destination. Upon reaching it, his entire body started to suck into the thin line, as if he himself turned into liquid or pure shadow. He pushed himself through the tiny opening, and then pulled out of the other side of the wall, dropping the stalk as he flowed in. He knew it was risky to go out the other end without knowing if anyone was there or not. The late hour made it unlikely, plus he had no way to check anyways. His body re-solidified as he took a moment to look about.
All clear,
He told himself. From there, it was not hard to work his way to the council library. Sneaking in was also no challenge. Elle took from an unseen pocket a bag and began to fill it with book after book. He took his time to ensure he was careful. Just as he reached for the 8th book, the room illuminated. He spun around and saw Drowsy staring at him with all 4 of his hands full of fire. Elle cringed back a step, but only out of instinct due to direct light touching him.
I was told that an actual Darkling had assisted in the escape of our little prismatic friend. Of course, I knew it could only have been you, Elle. Put the books back, and we can go have a nice chat with Brutus,
Elder Drosy said.
I need to act quick. I can't use any shadow so long as he holds those flames. I don't know if my talents could be enough to best him in a fight either. Come now, Elle. You don't have any better option than to surrender. You could have had a bright future. Just take me to the Prismatic, and all can be forgiven for you. What do you even want with him? Jack's inexperienced and has no interest in this city. Drowsy shook his head. That doesn't matter.
He held his flames up, menacing.
Last chance, Elle. I've mastered the flame and at least one other element, and if you don't surrender right now, you will regret learning what that is. I've never seen elementalists master more than one element. You're bluffing. Try to run or fight me, and you'll find out if I am.
El leapt up, kicked off of the wall, and used that momentum to glide through the air. His wings expanded, and were not difficult to fly in the tall room. Drowsy smiled. The flames in his hands dispersed, and El felt a sensation of weightlessness, as if he were inside of nothing. He fell straight down to the ground and discovered that he could not breathe, for there was no air to inhale or glide upon. He clutched his throat, gasping for air.
I told you. Yes, I mastered air. I rarely use it, you see. You'll be dying now. What a shame. What a loss. I mean, the last lunar shapeshifter dead. And you shouldn't live if you aren't willing to, at the very least, work with us. We can't have a rogue power such as yourself just mucking up what a great thing we have going here.
El was unable to get up due to the exhaustion of having the air flowing out of his lungs. He struggled just to maintain consciousness. The world around him started to get darker and darker. Even with his ability to see perfectly in the darkness, he found it ever increasingly difficult just to stay awake. As the last of his thoughts began to accept this as the end, he saw a green-blue blur zoom in the room, and then he blacked out. El opened his eyes. Jack stood over him. He nodded. Then he looked down and saw El was looking at him.
How did I get here?
El asked.
I brought you here.
El sat up slightly.
You used time weaving quite well, if that was you. Since when do time weavers give off a blue-green blur?
Jack looked away. I didn't know if it would work. Also, I don't know how I knew you were in danger, but something told me that you were. El looked at his left hand. He still clutched the bag of orbs.
I have them, at least.
He shook his head.
Yet I still don't understand how you did that.
I didn't. Zed did. I summoned him, and time weaving is so much easier to do through him. I don't know how else to explain it.
You saved me. Thank you for that. It would be a bad idea to try that again. He was waiting for one of us to raid that place.
What do we do then? Jack asked.
We get back to camp.
El started to get up, but noticed a light on the bottom crack of the barn.
Crap, it's daylight. This is my last day as a Darkling. It's beast tomorrow. I hate that form.
Don't feel useless.
I'll get us back,
Jack said.
Direct sunlight is unbearable. It doesn't actually hurt me, but it creates an irritation that causes me to rush to any cover of darkness without any self-control. I cannot control it. I have to wait until darkness. I can at least run fast as a beast and just 6 legs all the way back without a problem.
We can worry about that later. Let me see those books. Might as well kill some time while we wait. Cold control. Water and cold go hand in hand. It can be boiled and even in the air. But if you desire to control water, ice, or cold in any of these forms, the reliant emotion is that of fear. Find your imago of fear, the thing that anchors your fear. Through terror one can find freedom. Over the mastery of the cold, it is best used when defending yourselves or for those you care for, should you fear that imminent demise. That is the time to strike with fear. So long as you can have fear as your forethought and primary feeling, there are no limits to what you can do. Should you happen to be an extremely calloused individual, you can find that inspiring fear in others works just as well. Lesson 1. Basic Cold. The mere thought of fright will enable you to have a cold touch that is useful for day-to-day tasks such as cooking, cleaning, cold drying an object, and depleting something of heat. This requires no effort beyond feeling the slightest amount of worry. With merely the slightest discomfort of the unknown, your hands can become cold in an instant for using that your cold touch as you see fit. Lesson 2. From nothing. The very air itself contains moisture. With enough training, you could cause the air around you to form water or ice as needed. This siphoning of moisture will not be effective in a desert, and of course, over the ocean, should you need ice or water in a pinch, it is always all around you. In order to summon ice or water, all you need to do is extend your fears outside of yourself. You project that which you seek to avoid from you to the place you desire. You must imagine a shape as you are doing this. Otherwise, it will be a shapeless blob. With enough skill, there is no limit to how much you can accumulate. Lesson 3. Every living thing has water. With enough practice, you could master the bodies of plants, animals, and more by seizing control of the water inside of their body. This is one of the most difficult of things to accomplish. It can be quite useful, not just in a life-threatening situation such as a beast attacking you, but can be used to help someone not dehydrate during working hours, allowing them to work all the harder, all the longer, without any sort of interrupting break. Learn to control the water in your own body in order to maximize your work capabilities. Lesson 4. Barriers. You could make a barrier of ice or even standing water, but making water disobey the laws of nature is an advanced technique. For example, if you wanted to cause water from a pond to leap out and form a chest-high wall around yourself, you would need to continuously stream your fear to the water for the entire duration you desire it to stand against its own nature. Ice would be easier to do. Now that the basic understandings of cold have been explained, we can move on to... Jack finished the book and absorbed the knowledge in full, opening his eyes and looking at Elle. Would you like to read this now? He offered the orb. Maybe later, when I'm read again. Jack nodded his understanding. I can only handle one book at a time. It's draining to read them. I need to rest. Elle waved his hand without a care. Go for it. Be ready just in case guards or farmers come in here and run away. Jack snuggled against some straw, making it his pillow. Elle kept in the shadows, remaining quiet and alert. Time to go! Jack was awakened by the shout. He jumped up and followed Elle out of the barn. The sun was setting, and Jack could see how much Elle hated to bear that light on his skin. His darkling form looked frail, tired, and beat up. The sunlight alone did that to him. Whatever it is, it has to be worse than whatever it was doing to him for him to be willing to rush out of it there. It did not take long for Jack to see the 3 dozen guards led by Brutus himself moving their direction. Brutus was not surprised by them fleeing the comfort of that barn. Even from the far-off distance, Jack saw the determined look in his eyes, along with that grin chiseled from malice. He felt the cold in his hands forming. That's convenient, Jack said as Elle was yanking him away from the distraction. There's no time to stare at them. Run! Elle shouted.
see that? Brutus called out. He has a darkling under his command. Only a demon would work with these foul creatures.
Someone next to the captain of the city guard said something. They didn't yell it, so it couldn't be heard, but the captain's response was yelled. The massive elementalist could not be quite quiet to save his life.
Of course I could see he isn't yellow. Demons can fool our senses. Don't fall for it, soldiers.
Jack looked to see the last sliver of the sun set. Then the moon started to rise. They peaked, and that was enough. He looked at El, who was already transforming while running. His two arms and wings slammed into the ground, turning into massive hooves as they did so. Just as the transformation finished, he didn't even bother to ask. He simply mounted El and held onto the lunar as they picked up speed, which he did. The only thing faster than a beast at full speed could only be a time weaver, and there were none within those guards. Jack cheered as they made their easy escape. Brutus told everyone to stop. The guards came to a halt, and all of his subordinates looked at him quietly, wanting to know what to do.
You!
He snatched the closest guard, picking him up and bringing the person that was easily only 2/3 of his own height.
Go back to the city and tell them that under my command to bring 2 dozen more. They will meet us at the base of that mountain he is running to.
He tossed the guard down like a day-old mop, then casually walked off. After less than 2 hours, Jack and Elle reached the camp.
We have 4 books,
Jack declared victoriously.
excellent. Whoa, is that Elle?
Fobris asked. Jack nodded. He hasn't said anything since he transformed into his beast form. I don't think he can talk. Soon inspected the six-legged creature.
If he truly has taken the form of the beast, then yes, he cannot talk. I once studied their anatomy. They don't have vocal cords. At most, he could grunt. We'll have to figure out if he can even understand us. His very brain chemistry might actually be different during this time.
Soon bent down to be at eye level with Elle.
1 grunt for yes, 2 for no. Do you understand me?
Elle gave a solitary grunt. Soon looked back to the others.
So far, so good. Are you just as aware of yourself as yesterday?
Again, Elle grunted.
Good. We can dismiss the initial grunt as not a coincidence. Now, one last test. Grunt the number of fingers I'm holding up.
Soon held up 3 fingers, and Elle grunted 3 times. He stood up straight.
That'll do for me.
Jack took out of his bag the same book on cold he read earlier. Fobris, this one is on cold basics and advanced techniques. Would you like to read it? Fobris greedily snatched it with a gleam of excitement in his eyes. He wasted no time in making himself comfortable and then allowing the knowledge to enter him through the orb. Jack pulled from the bag another orb and sat next to the red Fobris and did the same. Just before doing so, he quickly looked at the others. Elle was the one to sneak in and get them. He only had enough time to take a few: cold, air, fire, and earth. Amazing. The primary four. Jack started patting Elle on the head like a dog. Good job. He said it the way one would say it to a pet, then came to his senses. Sorry. He pulled his hand back, embarrassed, then focused on the book. The book he read was on fire. Though he had a basic grasp of how fire and heat can be summoned and controlled, it was rudimentary at best. About half of the information he had already learned or figured out on his own. The other half did help, though, in filling in the gap for things he either wasn't quite sure about or had not realized at all. The stress of reading any book always fatigued all that read them. Jack was no different than everyone else in the world in that respect. You hate me all you want, but you're going to have to make a choice. Will you choose justice for yourself or freedom for others? What? Who said that? Jack said. top of the mountain was pitch black. Nothing could be seen, and he wasn't entirely sure if the voice he heard was real or imaginary.
What's it gonna be, Jack? Are you going to help me or the oppressors? Sai? Sai, is that you? I'm sorry for what happened. It is you. You killed Norg, Mill, and Zed, and everyone I ever knew. I'm going to kill you, Sai. Norg died protecting me from you.
Jack felt a presence depart. Somehow he knew he was alone. Then he woke up. Something hard and heavy was pushing him. Jack's eyes shot open. He looked to see Elle was the only thing prodding him. Elle looked him in the eyes, and the hurried expression on his face was unmistakable.
What is it, Elle?
Jack matched his friend's worried look with the tone of his voice. Elle grunted, and this time loud enough to rouse the others. Elle was looking to the sky. Jack followed the gaze and saw what was so disconcerting to the beast. Dozens of the soldiers were flying to the sky. They were coming for them.
I guess they're happy to see us?
Jack jested. Everyone looked at him unamused.
Sorry, we should... Suddenly a bolt of lightning hurled from one of the flyers. It struck directly next to Jack. He jumped back. Time to go!
The flyers' cheers echoed down, matching the thunder from the lightning.
Go where? We fight. Surrender or run to Darkling territory. All bad options where we lose,
Fobris said.
Surrender isn't an option. Brutus will have us all killed for sure.
Jack looked up as he spoke. One of them glowed brightly, and he knew they were preparing another lightning bolt.
We have no way to fight back, especially with Elle in beast form. Look out!
Everyone scattered as the lightning bolt hurled down to them. It struck where they were. The boom alone nearly deafened them.
We could run to the Time Weaver Nation,
Fobris said. He started to hide behind Elle.
Fobris, do something!
Fobris cringed and started to whimper. His feet clung to solid rock under him. But that wasn't comforting. He pointed at a boulder, and a line of magic traced around his feet and snaked its way to that large rock. The magic encased around the solid mass like a net. The line of magic remained. It lifted into the air, to which Fobris smiled and then cheered. His sadness ended, and the magic ended. The rock slammed down back into place uselessly. He sighed.
Sorry, I tried. Jack, you can fly too. Make yourself feel some joy for a change, Soon said. How? You have at least one good memory in you. Like everyone, you grew up playing games. Focus on that if you have to.
Jack closed his eyes. He ignored the fact that those flyers were simultaneously charging another bolt of lightning and closing in. Childhood games did come to him. He remembered playing with Mills, Zed, Norg, and Sai. Jack was flushing into red, but at the thought of Sai, he lost it. Conflicted in the joy combined with anger and fear, which swirled into sadness. He felt all four feelings at the same time, which normally an elementalist's physiology has no difficulty feeling different things at the same time. Their glands in their brain allowed for this. However, this would be the first time Jack has ever experienced this. He became overwhelmed by the rush of emotions.
Hey, you're sad. You try throwing that boulder,
Fobris said. There was a tone of mockery in his voice. Jack looked at the massive rock, and magic swirled out of him, forming into a ball next to him. He should have noticed that it wasn't happening properly. He looked at the magic and then to the rock and pointed. The magic itself acted like a black hole, and all of it came out of Jack, forcing him to turn gray. The magic itself formed a ball, and then, with literal lightning speed, struck the rock as lightning into the rock. It was blasted into too many pieces to count. The sound alone boomed and shook the top of the mountain. Everyone was blown away in separate directions. End of chapter 9.